The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. As Jesus was walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, casting a net into the sea. They were fishermen. He said to them, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and followed him. He walked along from there and saw two other brothers, James and the son of Zebedee, and the brother John. They were in the boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets. He called them, and immediately they left their boat and their father and followed him. The Gospel of the Lord. St. Andrew, whose name is the strong man, Andrew. And he was strong, indeed. He's a prototype of the people who are invited to stand their ground in the faith, to stand in their own. He was born in Bethsaida. Bethsaida is around the Galilee. He was the brother of Peter. And he is the one who introduced Peter to Christ. Of course, he was a disciple of John the Baptist before knowing Jesus. And after, when we look at the Gospel of John, that was in the very first chapter, when John the Baptist pointed to them, "Behold the Lamb of God." And they began to follow Jesus. When he asked him, "Where, Lord, Master, where do you live?" And he told them, "Come and see." They went. And they stayed with Jesus. And when he came back, together with Bartholomew, whose name is also Nathanael, and they came back, and the first thing he did was to call his brother Peter. Tell him, "Hey, come here. We have seen the Messiah." He brought him into the boats, and Peter became even not greater, but I think one of the most important disciples of Christ and apostle, and became the first pope. So I always look at the life of Andrew in a very simple way. He is just a prototype of what catechism is all about and what witnessing is all about. We see that through all the readings that we had today, the letter to the Romans, that beginning by faith comes from preaching the word. Also, it comes from professing. If you confess by your mouth and if you believe in your heart. Faith is not abstract. That's what Paul is saying. Our faith is seen just right now as people see us. We don't have faith and put it in the fridge. Our faith is seen and is professed. You can't be a Christian and just be so shallow and you say, "No, I don't want them to know because there is no humility in hiding your faith. You need to profess your faith. You need to, it's not about showing off, but it's about the testimony of life, living your faith. We live our faith. And when we live our faith in words and in actions, we begin to be exactly preachers of the good news. And St. Francis will understand this very well. He said that we are actually the good news of Christ. By our way of living, by our actions, we open the gospel of salvation. That is the newspaper that people are to read. It is us. The Feast of St. Andrew is really beautiful to teach us how important it is to preach the gospel, and the emergency and the urgency and the necessity of preaching, of bringing Christ to others, but also allowing him to transform our own existence. And that's what Andrew did. They said immediately when Jesus spoke to them, "Come, follow me." They stood up. Even when we go to the Gospel of John, straight away, "Master, where do you live? Come and see." He did not say, "Let me go first home and do some small duty there, or let my people know." He just went. There is an emergency, an urgency in responding to God's call now, not tomorrow. And once we have heard the word from him, we have been attracted, and then he speaks to us. The word sinks in our hearts. The word has that effect in our hearts. And then the next person is our wife, our children, our husband, our cousins. And then we begin to infest the neighborhood with this great news, and seeing the spreading of that, the contamination of the power of God's around us. It's very powerful. But when we look also at the calling of Peter and Andrew, there is no parents mentioned. They don't say who are their parents. But yet we see down with the Zebedee's family, they tell us whose parents they are. So this tells us something theologically. First of all, Peter and Andrew represents the family of believers. Faith is born within the family of believers. When Christ calls us, he calls us within the family of believers. It might be somebody who has a strong faith. It might be the church. It might be a community where faith is preached. And then we come to faith through a family, a community of believers. And on the other hand, Christ also calls us within the context of the very family where we might be born. The sons of Zebedee, they were there with their father, mending the nets. That's where also Jesus found them, doing something, occupied in doing something, and which the same thing is going to change, to use that and shift the ability of that spiritually. Now, I'm going to make you fishers of men. You were fishermen. Now, I'm going to make you fishers of men. You're going to catch a lot of men, not fish anymore. The same ability they had in catching the fish is now to be used as an ability to catch many men and women and bring them into the boats That is the church. So you can see that we have here clearly two ways that we can be converted and through which we can be converted. Yes, randomly people might just find salvation on the way, but we always have this way community of believers where our faith grows, is strengthened, and then also our family. These are the context where God operates all the more within the community and within for an individual. So Andrew also highlights very much the importance of a personal encounter with Christ, and in every time we encounter Christ personally, this has also to do with linking them with others. Our encounter with Christ bring us to link others to the same Jesus. So we have been baptized, we have been catechized, and we have been also confirmed. Now the question is, we are also called to evangelize. How do we fulfill this beautiful mission of fishing or bringing others to Jesus? Jesus is calling. Do we follow? Do we respond? And when he said, go and make disciples, this is a daily endeavor to go and make disciples. Let's respond to this call generously, like the apostle did.